Okay, let's do another session here. Probably keep this one on the shorter side as well. I believe that we have double booked ourselves for tonight. Confront the pigs and get your gun back at 2200, and get yourself organized at 2200. I think the gun is going to take precedence there. But at any rate, in the meantime, we can go and speak to the dice maker on Plaisance and see how we might impress upon them the dire nature of the doomed commercial area's predicament. We could also speak to the strike leader about the tattoos. We've got about three and a half hours here to kill, so that's maybe not a bad idea. I'm not sure how long the conversations in the commercial area will take, so let's do that. And just to recap, because this was several days ago in-game, the gloves of the hangman's armor might still be around the neighborhood. Oh, that's the armor. Ask the scab leader about tattoos. Perhaps another mercenary can tell you more about the hangman tattoos, the so-called scab leader at the harbor gates. It won't count as one of the people informing you about the tattoos, but could be interesting.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
I think you may be able to help me decipher some tattoos.
Don't think so.
He grunts, barely looking at the picture.
Suddenly, this feels like a really, really bad idea.
They were on the body of the man who was hanged behind the cafeteria there.
Silence. He takes the photo. Grey eyes dart back and forth on the glossy surface. His face is unmoving. You see dead flesh in colorful rivers of polychrome, melting skin and hair.
Fucking loincloths. Really did him in.
Loincloths?
Yeah.
He's clenching his teeth. There is silent pressure behind them.
Can you tell me what the tattoo means?
What it means.
He points to one tiny star in the web of lines, away from the man's heart, almost on his stomach.
I can tell you what this one means. Only one. You want to hear what happened here?
He squints at it, it's so small. Yes.
Our colonel is deep in the bush here. Deep in the fucking bush. In Benital, 41. Monsoon season. He's on a reconnaissance mission.
Benito is one of the inhabited islands of the Seminese archipelago near the Pale. Covered in jungle, it was anchor point for the Seminese nationalists in the proxy war held on the islanders' territory.
He spent a month behind enemy lines, scouting kept villages. Nothing but fucking bugs and snakes for fun. Men are getting restless. There's talk of switching employers.
He licks his lips as if drunk suddenly.
With some strange emotion. This is about to get really graphic. Last moment to back off.
Don't interrupt him.
Our boy. He's only a captain then, but he knows how these men think. If they don't see action soon.
His voice gets strangely quiet, a long, long way from right to work. His gaze pierces the paper.
At dawn, he comes upon two kids, breeding in the bushes by the river. Or maybe they weren't breeding. Maybe they were just making eyes at each other. I like to think they were breeding. We shot the boy He was useless, but the girl, she was nice. A little fat, you know, but not too old. She was quite the entertainment for the week she lasted, expired in the hands of Sarge Mason, the kind of guy who'd make Chief there shit his pants and cry like a bitch.
He nods towards the man on the gates, talking about Measurehead, I think.
God. Mason couldn't let go. Cut the tits off her cold body and fucking ate them. Said primitive spirits were watching over him now. Drowned in a creek a week later. Spirits my ass.
Something stirs in your stomach. The story must have stirred up some conflicting emotions. The man looks tired for a second. There's a word on the tip of your tongue. Colorless, odorless. It's...
Evil.
You bet it was.
You were there?
No. I was in the domain. In Jamrock. Being a bouncer.
What is evil?
It's just nature. This guy used to say evil is when nature and spirit meet in the wrong place.
He points at the picture. So you're not really a scab leader, are you?
Fucking mask is getting sweaty. I want to take my mask off. But
He's under orders. And orders are orders.
Can I have the picture back?
go ahead. All right now. Free commerce! Keep the goods flowing!
On the photo in your hands, the dead man's skin is studded with stars. Tens, hundreds of them, littering his dead skin.
So are you a mercenary hired by Wildpines?
Free flow of commerce!
The man yells and wipes his face. Sweat is dripping down his brow.
Don't talk to him any longer. Just leave, please.
Say very quietly, is there a tribunal being convened by any chance?
Fucking bug.
He breathes out slowly, his giant chest deflating and his mouth slightly open.
I'm going to interpret that as a yes. There's a tribunal, and it won't be long until it's ready.
How about you fuck off now, huh?
Okay, of course.
The lieutenant says this, his voice a soothing calm. He looks at you.
There could be weapons aiming at us right now, somewhere above, in the buildings. The other merc. Don't push this, he's thinking. This is not the time.
Okay.
The man's breathing steadies, but his eyes are still narrow. Slowly, he's trying to get his right-to-work dance back on.
Well, that guy's a fucking nightmare. Let's stock up on some supplies since we have so much cash now. The yellow roses in the window. Those aren't the flowers that were left for Clausier.
Is this about the questions again?
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big Fritta slogan on the back. The packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
We'll buy it. It's only 4 real. I want to buy a raincoat.
Here you go.
The clerk removes the garment from the lower shelf and hands it over.
A colorful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles line the shop wall, inviting you closer.
Again, I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health.
Let's get the Commodore Red
Here you go, mister.
and the Astra cigarettes. I'm not sure how many we have left.
Here you go, mister.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo.
Let's get Dramamine, so we have 3 more charges of healing.
Okay, here. I hope Saint Baptiste makes you feel better or something.
Let's start with the dice maker and work our way over to Plaisance.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die?
That's funny, that Shivers check is still so low. I think I found the actual source of the curse.
I thought we agreed that the curse isn't real.
It's a bit more complicated than I first thought it would be.
I'm listening.
She leans back in her chair, arms crossed across the chest. Just say it. There's a 2mm hole in reality located in a church on the other side of the canal. I think it may be related to the Pale.
Excuse me? A 2mm hole in reality? This can't be true.
I'm afraid it is, ma'am. Sona Lukanen-Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident, made the discovery.
Sona is involved in this?
She appears to take this in while the chatter from her headphones continues unabated.
So it's even worse than I thought. It's not just the commercial area that's cursed, it's the entire world.
She looks outside the window where the night has fallen on the yard.
What? No, I wouldn't go so far as to say the entire world is doomed.
Just Martinez?
She gives you a rueful smile and takes a look around.
In any case, thank you for stopping by. It's good to have an answer, even if I can't claim to understand it fully.
Talking about the taxidermied animals. Poor animals, no rest for their bodies after death.
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
Plaisance, I have something to tell you. I've found the actual source of doom.
What do you mean, the actual source? Are you talking about the third presence?
She clutches her pendant anxiously.
She remembers. Good.
My investigation has led me to discover a 2mm anthroponetic hole in reality. That's the source of doom, both in the commercial area and in Martinez.
A what?
A tiny hole in reality. It may be connected with Pale, an origin point of sorts. It would explain why, historically, so many things have ended in failure here in Martinez.
Ma'am, What he's saying is true. We found an anthroponetic anomaly in the small pinewood church down the coast. I don't mean to be an alarmist, and more research is needed, but it's not looking good.
But that's not in any of the ancient texts. How am I supposed to protect my bookstore from that?
You can protect it with hope by refusing to give up. That's what people have done in the past, by building a church, a place of worship around this thing.
You're right, officer. I can't just leave everything. After all this work, this little bookstore has become the corner store of our neighbourhood. I can't just jump the ship and leave. Besides, didn't I have some Sailite hope catchers round here somewhere? I must find them. Everything will be all right if I can just find them. Thank you for your help in any case. You're welcome back here any time. Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime, Romance, and Biographies of Famous People.
I'm looking for a book about cockatoos.
A book about cockatoos? There should be one upstairs, right next to the shelf of biographies.
The plaque on the shelf reads, Biographies of Famous People. A sulfur-crested cockatoo sits on the cover, its beak slightly open. It looks as if the bird is calling out the book title, From A to Zurich, a guide to a well-behaved cockatoo.
Flip through the pages.
Turns out that there are so many different cockatoo species, and they all have behavioral problems.
What about this guide to cockatoos, Storekeep?
It's a must-have if you own a cockatoo. I've heard they're quite capricious.
I want to buy the guide to cockatoos.
Oh, a nature enthusiast. Good choice. I knew it was a good idea to keep that around.
I've actually got a couple of books to look at here. Let's start with the cockatoos, though.
A cockatoo is a parrot with an erectile crest, found on the Seminine Islands and in southern Fas a la Mer. Known for their intelligence and general precociousness, cockatoos are popular birds in aviculture. However, they often exhibit various behavioral issues. This book talks about the delicate nature of toos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the bird enthusiasts. The funeral cockatoo, the major majestic cockatoo, and the most common bang bang cockatoo. It's colorfully illustrated.
All right, what problems do these birds have?
Where to even begin? All cockatoos are known for their needy natures, requiring attention for at least 2 full hours a day. They love to talk and have been described as lovable clowns who just don't know how to wrap up.
I could handle that. It'd be nice to have somebody to talk to when feeling lonely.
Pet owners also report moodiness, loudness, and hostility as recurring issues. If left unsatisfied, cockatoos may scream non-stop, pluck their feathers, or become aggressive.
That's pretty bad. Anything else?
It is not recommended to get a cockatoo if you're not able to cook them food every day and give them the full care that they need. These birds will never understand that you have a life of your own.
Yes, but there has to be something great about cockatoos as well.
You're right. Cockatoos are magnificent creatures. They love to perform, cuddle and show off, and will even scream for fun, often as loud as up to 135 decibels. Ouch, that must hurt. Not great for the neighbors. Performing? Yes, birdie.
Read about the funeral cockatoo.
This is a yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Its specific name, Psittacus venereus, relates to its dark and somber plumage. This bird looks as if dressed for a funeral, 24/7. There is something indisputably ominous about it.
The major majestic cockatoo?
Perhaps the most impressive of all the species, the endangered major majestic cockatoo, is often described as the most flamboyant bird in the jungle. Its pink-colored wings and flowing crest embellishing its proud and bumptious nature. In the words of poet-explorer Sir James Fournier, few birds more enliven the monotonous hues of the verdant forest than this big, bold, and beautiful species. It must be glorious to behold, dark pink and snow white.
The most common bang-bang cockatoo.
Despite its banging name, the bang-bang cockatoo is actually the shyest of the species, common in almost all Seminoles forests, as well as zoos and homes all over the world. Its plumage is mainly gray and white. The Seminoles name, bang-bang, is thought to be of onomatopoeic origins. A cockatoo is a parrot. This book talks about the delicate nature of twos, as well as introducing some of the most popular species among the... Yes, but all those cockatoo species are so different. Which one are you?
Isn't that obvious? Major majestic, here I come.
You're right. Your Majesty embodied. This big, beautiful bird belongs on your heraldry.
Did we get a thought cabinet thing for that, or not? Some of these are funny as shit. It doesn't look like it. Oh well. Still got 2 hours in game here, so let's read through some of our other literature. Book, A Primer for Small Kids, a textbook for the first grade in primary school. On the cover, a humanoid teddy bear is pushing a wheelbarrow full of letters. He's not doing a good job. The letter S is dangerously dangling from the cart, while E fell off a long time ago. Children should pay more attention.
You hold in your hand the colorful primer. The title reads, A Primer for Small Kids. There's a bear involved.
Exactly what I need.
This book will show you the score, get you oriented with those basic concepts you appear to be hazy on. The anthropomorphic bear will give you the lowdown of your life.
On what?
The alphabet.
Flip through the pages.
Every page has one word designating one letter of the alphabet with a faded illustration. Most of them are scientific and cultural principles. It goes as follows.
Let's do this.
A is for azimuth. B is for Boreas. C is for cosine. D is for diamite. E is for ellipse. F is for phlogiston. G is for gamete. H is for homeboy. I is for econ. J is for Eura. K is for collapse. L is for laudanum. M is for myriad. N is for nadir. O is for aureole. P is for perihelion.
Nod stoically.
Q is for quasar. R is for rhododendron. S is for sinus. T is for tricolor. U is for ultra. V is for vector. W is for Wahrheit. X is for xylophone. Y is for Ustava. Z is for zenith.
That's it?
That's it. You know the alphabet now.
In what is called the IL, the international language developed by scientists from Grad in the 20s, sinus means sign, for example. Kim, I know the alphabet now.
Good. I also know the alphabet.
It is a very useful skill to have, he thinks, for all sorts of life activities like reading and...
16 Days of Coldest April. The cover features a row of concrete buildings with a monochrome rainbow in the sky. It tells a rather excruciating story about true lovers during a period of ethnic unrest in Yugograd. The book has been filed under psychological realism.
In your hands you hold 16 Days of Coldest April by Yekaterina Dahl. The cover image shows a row of concrete apartments above which span a black and white rainbow.
Feels heavy.
Indeed, the book is unusually heavy in your hands, as though the cover were lined with lead. It would do that in Grad.
How long is this book anyway?
You flip through the book. The pages are thinner than you realized, and the type quite small and tightly set. It's nearly 600 pages long. Real art is dense and difficult. If it didn't feel like you had to wrestle a suicidal bear to get through it, you weren't really reading.
Hell yeah, conceptualization. Look at the back cover.
The back cover is dominated by a black and white photograph of the author.
What does she look like?
She can't be much older than her mid-30s in this photograph. And yet, from this cover, the eyes of a sad old woman stare back at you.
Start reading.
In cold, detached prose, the author describes a scene from one of the Yugograd riots in the 20s. Youths overturned motor carriages and set trash cans ablaze, while heavily armored guardsmen dash in and disperse them in a flurry of baton blows. The Yugograd riots took place from 27 to 29. Fueled by ethnic unrest and the state's repressive tactics, these events are often seen as marking the end of a brief period of liberalization known as the Yugograd Spring. Like all such periods, it is frequently memorialized in art and literature. As ethnic tensions run wild, a pair of young lovers meet each other on the street. Somehow, in the middle of all the chaos, they manage to lock arms and look into each other's eyes.
What happens next?
It would physically hurt you to keep reading. Are you sure?
10 more pages.
They go through a brief and somewhat awkward love affair. And in the end, they betray each other and succumb to the absurdity of Gradian life. The man becomes a lens grinder, completely abandoning his former existence. He toils through the daily drudgery at the Lenka polyfabricate. Happiness and fulfillment have eluded him his whole life. And in the end, he has nothing to do but dedicate himself to the craft.
And the woman?
She spends the next several decades standing at a conveyor in a Sosnovo fish processing plant. The smell of fish guts slowly seeps into her hair and skin, as every single one of her dreams dies, one by one. The memory of their short time spent together tortures the former lovers ceaselessly until the end of their days. Years pass in solitude, their bodies growing ever more decrepit.
Why can't I put this book away?
As life leaves their remains between the soil sheets, their final thoughts are filled with regret.
Book La Fumée, Volume 1, Number 4, the leading intellectual organ of Martinet's communism, offers a radical Mazovian perspective on a range of contemporary issues. The cover features a stylized portrait of the late King Fritzl with a pair of white antlers growing out of his head. This feels like a parody of Jacobin.
The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Fritzl. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cover.
Why Fritzl?
Because Fritzl was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. No advertisements, you notice. So who's funding this radical commentary? After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of contents. The magazine is divided into several sections: international development, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note.
Kunst und Kultur is arts and culture. Let's read the editor's note.
Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turned to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. Perhaps they've overestimated the market demand for this kind of commentary. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
Play it cool, pretend everything's in order.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
I want to catch up on international developments.
This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
What is Kunst und Kultur?
It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you. Obviously because it's cool to drop random phrases in foreign languages. It evokes a sense of recognition and fellowship among those privileged enough to understand.
That's good.
As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. The Tip Top Tournée is an inter-Isolari racing series, mostly known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and high death toll. In Revachol, it's held quadrennially on the prestigious Zero Carousel racing circuit.
Read the profile of CS.
This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. That certainly sounds like a certain delinquent youth who likes to harass you from her balcony.
Oh yes, they need a skull. Alright, let's see what these communists have to say about Tip Top.
You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée.
Wait, what's wrong with Tip Top?
Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically.
Hang on, who wrote this stuff?
Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines, Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka. There's no way those are real names.
Why aren't they real names?
Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms. More than that, they're likely anagrams.
What's so bad about sponsorships?
Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a frita.
Right, but then you get to see them crash.
And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for.
You're right. I really am just in it for the violence.
You see, one cannot avoid the conclusion that Tip Top Tourney is simply the apotheosis of spectacular entertainment under capitalism.
Kim, did you know Tip Top Tourney is actually an orgiastic ritual of capitalistic destruction? I had no idea.
I can safely say the thought had never crossed my mind, Detective.
I wonder what else is really just a metaphor for life under capitalism.
I'm sure most things are, if the young men who wrote this article are to be believed. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
Let's see what they mean by local concerns.
Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dock workers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside Apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent.
Charging rent just to live somewhere is pretty outrageous.
The writer G. Martin remarks dryly that capitalists love wealth redistribution so long as it's only redistributed upward. Good thing your rent-paying days are behind you. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you.
All right, it's almost 2200.
Yes?
Let's try this logic check. Why did the 41st send me, Kim?
Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to slight Precinct 57.
No, that can't be right.
Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late and argues with his necktie. You weren't sent here to win.
Kim, what if my precinct sent me on this case because I'm a fuck-up, like, as a joke?
I've considered it.
So it's true.
It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional. But I also think it's somewhat unlikely.
Why is that?
I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win.
So you are their finest.
I am the finest of nothing.
Do you really see me as a safe bet?
Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. But it's there. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
He's right. There are no airtight theories, just paranoia. You've given it some thought. Now let it go.
I'm not sure what this is in response to, but you imagine why calls can become terrible sometimes. Blood drips from your knuckles to the sand. Drip, drip. We might be too far north here to find the lady. Let's keep looking further south. Walk past the fisherman's village until we see the boardwalks. Is this it?
The trap is filled with dead and dying locusts. Most of them aren't moving anymore. You still can't see a phasmid anywhere. Poor things. The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years.
Lieutenant, can you make out what's inside?
No. I won't even try. You know,
The windows rattle in their frames. He takes his glasses off.
I had a partner once. They called him Eyes, because he had to show me things. It's that bad.
This partner of his, Eyes, things didn't end well. It saddens him to say his name. Don't even ask. He wouldn't answer. Maybe some other small talk.
Can you still shoot, though?
Well enough, actually. It's odd how that works. I'm no sharpshooter, but I pass my shooting courses 7 out of 10.
His hands lead the way when it comes to that. And his shoulders. It's reflex.
Put your hands where I can see them.
The aging woman under a mountain of police paraphernalia mumbles to herself, then notices you and reaches for the megaphone.
Show me your hands. This is the pigs. Show me your hands. Right now! Show me your hands! Right now!
Scavenged, battery-powered police lights protrude from her back. The flickering light show reveals a gun in her shaking hand. Her hand is trembling from some sort of neurodegenerative disease.
Madame, please drop the firearm immediately.
You shouldn't be here. Something's very wrong with her. She's completely out of control.
Wait, what should we do, Kim?
This is bad. Getting your weapon back is the priority. We can't have an unhinged civilian running around with a gun.
Comply, or I will light you the fuck up.
Easy, man. Take it easy.
Failure to comply. Suspect is displaying aggression. Officer, under duress! Officer, under duress! I am the police. Don't move. Don't move. Hands on your head. Suspect is armed and dangerous.
I'm not moving.
Suspect is on the loose. Suspect at large. Officer, administer street justice at our own peril. That one extra lick with a baton or extra knee strike above was what was actually required. Suspect is under control. Suspect is under control.
Be careful, detective. Don't do anything that might set her off.
You'll have to go for the gun sooner or later. Perhaps you can learn crucial facts before you do. This is dangerous. You're 70% certain you always leave your gun loaded.
We can solve this peacefully. Please lower the weapon.
Officer in need of assistance! Suspect
Ma'am, please. We want to help you, but you need to lower that weapon.
That's it. You're under arrest.
You're making it worse, officer.
The lieutenant says quietly. His eyes never leave the woman's face.
Disturbance reported. Authorized deadly force. Sector, take the shot! Big red key! Big red key!
Big red key? That's code for the battering ram. Cop talk. You know this. What happened to make her like this? Loneliness. Yes, sure, but also in a less abstract way. The neurodegenerative disease I mentioned earlier.
You're not the police. We are the police.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Status unconfirmed!
Yes, I'm the backup. Here to back you up.
You are? Mr. Moran? No,
Aggravated assault! Man down! Suspect on foot!
There's a scenario unfolding in her head right now. It has nothing to do with what's happening here.
What's the situation, officer?
Law enforcement compromised! Impersonating a police officer!
Does she not believe you two are actually police officers?
We really are cops. Look, my badge.
License and registration! License and registration! Come in, dispatch! Sector! Sector! Azimuth!
It's not a code, just disjointed words. She's losing it. One twitch and there will be blood.
Please identify yourself, ma'am.
It's the goddamn police shitbag! Hug the pavement! You're under arrest!
As she waves her hands, you notice familiar-looking ampoules and packets sticking out of the mountain of police gear on her back. Medicine or drugs?
Are you on drugs?
Confiscated contraband! Restricted access! 2 kilos missing! Eyewitness report compromised!
I don't think she's on drugs. Being off drugs might actually be the problem here.
Ma'am, we're here to help. Tell us what's wrong.
The woman looks at you, but through you, like you don't exist. Her eyes gleam feverishly, and the rotating police beacon lights reveal deep scratch marks on her cheeks.
This is the police! Unlawful engagement! Hands on the ground! Scumbag!
So this is what the weather's like on the other end of a cop's gun.
Kim?
Fascinating. See? This is what happens when we are not around. We can't leave. A delirious civilian is pointing a firearm at us. Your firearm. You need to solve this.
Damn it. I can't juice the roll. Oh, looks like I could, actually. Hand-eye coordination. Let's fucking go.
Alright, here's the plan. You hurl the ledger in her face, already darting right, and immediately close the distance. Left hand grabs the barrel, right one breaks the wrist. No, look how she's holding it, like it's light in the nose. It must be. That means the gun is empty. No, an ominous feeling fills your gut, and suddenly you know the gun is empty. Thinking about it makes you nauseous.
Hold on, why does that make me nauseous?
That knowledge comes from a very dark place.
How dark?
Paint the wall with your brains. Dark.
Kim, I'm almost certain there are no bullets in that gun.
I've been thinking that too, but it's impossible to tell for certain in these lighting conditions.
Ma'am, the weapon you're holding is mine, and I know it has no bullets.
What?
The woman looks at the weapon in disbelief, her eyes suddenly reddish with tears. She looks straight down the barrel and squeezes the trigger.
This isn't police issue. Police weapons have bullets! This isn't real. What is this? Police guns always have bullets. What is this? Why did you sell me this?
She looks devastated. Grab the gun, right now. This might be your only chance.
No one ever cares anymore. Why would they treat me like this?
Her voice is growing fainter as she rocks back and forth slowly.
This linden-headed machine of pain and undignified suffering is grinding to a halt. Tired of walking the desert, it doesn't want to feel or think anymore.
Poor woman. We need to figure out what to do with her now.
Nobody's ever around. Nobody ever comes to visit me.
What do you think is happening to her?
She's in a stupor. I've seen this before. God knows for how long. Could be days when they get like this.
But why was she like this in the first place?
Honestly, I don't know. Dementia, probably. Dementia and Channel 8. And loneliness.
Yeah, this is what happens when you listen to too many cop shows on the radio.
There's a bit more to this than that. But right now, we need to decide what to do with her.
You're not alone. We're all here.
The woman stands in front of you, motionless, unresponsive, almost like an inanimate object now. A mountain of police paraphernalia. In there she is alone, trapped in a world of blue and red lights. Her children and their children, if there were any, stopped coming when it got really bad.
Should we just arrest her?
I don't think there's any need for that. In her current state, and without a gun, she isn't really a threat to anyone. We could let Titus know. This is a perfect problem for the local peacekeepers to handle. They might even know her family.
Yeah, Titus sounds like the man for the job.
Then we can ask him once we get back to the whirling. But we have to hurry, because it's late and they might have already gone home. But I think we're done here for now. Let's head out. This is done.
Please, leave the radio on.
As you turn to leave, the faintest of voices comes from the woman. It seems like a reflex, a half-remembered sentence.
Reflex to what? Being left alone. She stands motionless, just a heap of clothes and flashes now. Maybe if you search her once more. The woman stands slumped. She looks catatonic under her mountain of RCM paraphernalia. Is one of those things a police cap? There were narcotics in there too. You're thinking of taking them. Do. She doesn't even flinch as you reach out and disentangle the familiar-looking lieutenant's cap from her mountain of RCM paraphernalia.
Oh, is that yours?
It's hard to say. It's been so long since you wore yours.
I think so.
The lieutenant nods.
Confiscate the narcotics. Wink.
You take the vial of Pyrrolidon and the bottle of speed as evidence, obviously. She didn't consume them. She didn't look high. She confiscated them. A little like you are doing now.
You're taking those, are you?
Listen to him, for once.
Fine, you take them then.
Thank you. I'm doing this to help you. We need to focus on the case.
He's grateful you did this.
Let's go and talk to Titus real quick, and then we'll call it a session. We sank a lot of points for that red check. We don't really have... We can only do that another 1 or 2 times probably. But hopefully we'll keep leveling up here.
The Copper NATO is back. What do you want?
There's an old catatonic lady in the old fish market on the other side of the bay. She needs help.
What's that, Copper? You want us to help little old ladies now?
You're local law enforcement, aren't you? Helping troubled civilians should fall under your jurisdiction.
Yeah. We'll send someone out. Who is? Wait. It's the pigs, isn't it?
Yep.
God. Poor lady. Don't worry. We'll handle this. I think she got some family in Kurong or something. Bastards left her alone when she got sick. We've been getting complaints.
Hey, wasn't Everott's B team looking for her the other day? They said something about her, I don't know, finding something?
Yeah, I think you're right, Gene. She have something of yours, Pig?
Whatever you do, do not admit to these punks you lost your gun. You will suffer if you do.
Nope. She didn't have anything of mine.
No? Well, whatever then, Copper.
Titus chugs his beer down and wipes his mouth.
No. They totally said what it was. What was it? Anyone remember?
I don't remember. I was fucking drunk.
Let me know if you figure it out back there. Now, anything else we can help you with?
What was her name, her real name?
Auntie LaPlante, we always called her. Something LaPlante.
Marianne, amigo.
Elaine says, pouring himself another drink. Marianne Amigo LaPlante.
Fuck you, pig. What the fuck you are playing at, huh?
Easy, Al. Don't let him get to you. Have one for Auntie LaPlante, huh?
Don't disrespect Miss LaPlante, Copper. She's good people. We all get a little crazy sometime.
Who was she?
Was. Like before. Just an old lady. Her kids moved away years ago. Never come to visit. Never took her calls. She gets out every now and then. She did right by lots of us when we were kids. Always was a little off, but still.
Us kids? That must have been ages ago. She was better then. The children kept her together.
How did she get like this?
Wanted to be a cop, you mean? Well, shit. I don't actually know. Anyone know why she started acting like a pig?
No fucking clue. It's gotta be the crazy. Who'd want to be a pig?
Someone who wanted to set the world right before it ends. Ever think of that?
No, I didn't. Because I'm not fucking stupid, Polizonte.
Yeah, Carl. That's some pretty fucking weird shit to say. The pigs level weird. But whatever gets you through the day.
Where'd she get all of her cop gear?
Dunno. She lives by the water. Shit washes up all the time on the beach.
Police paraphernalia doesn't just wash up on the coast, people. It's not like we dump it at night. She bought it, collected it.
Station 41. A man carries a crate of rusted, unused badges. You think these would net us something at the annual auction? A balding detective drags a comb futilely across his head. Shit, who'd want those? Just dump them into the river.
Thanks for helping out with this one, Titus.
No problemo, cop man. We take care of our mentally ill here in Martinez. Ain't that right, boys?
Sure enough, we're the real heroes on these streets.
Tremble. The time is now. Taola.
What's that, Half-Light? What time?
Time for the show. For Taola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream.
What is Taola?
Ulogu Theodos. Xeno Zausin. Ipoli Osithien. Echondes Fronisen.
Wait. When did this countdown begin?
Monday morning, the moment you arrived in this reality, are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread.
This is because of the insane world-ending shit that I've been saying?
Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself.
I do think the world might end soon.
The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing. We all become vapor.
Well, that's not a fun note to end on. But there it is. Until next time.